Good day everyone, and welcome again to my channel English 1-on-1. Today we shall be looking at another Csec short story, and this time we are looking at the short story Berry. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? You know what to do. Hit that subscription button. Story Berry is about a young black man who was hired to work as a kitchen help at Dr. Renfield's home for the crippled children. However, he was hired reluctantly by Mrs. Osbourne and Dr. Renfield because of his color. As a result of his race, he was overworked and underpaid. Although Milberry was aware of this, he continued to work because he had been hungry for too long. Unfortunately, an accident occurred resulting in one of the crippled children falling from his wheelchair, and Milberry was fired. Sad, eh?
Since the 1950s and 60s, blacks have been doing mainly manual work. Most experts accept that they're not as well qualified as whites, and that puts them at a disadvantage in competing for jobs. Why aren't they as well qualified? Well, compared with whites, a much larger proportion of blacks, most in fact, are from deprived areas, and this means more social problems and worse schools. But there's another, perhaps even more important problem. Many young blacks feel certain they won't get a decent job. So at school, they mess around and don't really try. And often, teachers give them very little encouragement.
The title of this story is fitting or suitable as it exemplifies the main character, Milberry Jones. Berry is the nickname that was given to him by the crippled children. The character Berry, like the small, pulpy, and edible fruit, is sweet and good-natured. These characteristics are depicted in his interaction with the crippled children. Did you get that? Character Milberry Jones was a young, black, and good-natured man who had been searching for a job for some time. In this short story, Berry, we are told that he was somewhat comparable to Paul Robeson.
And you want to. He was a singer, an athlete, an author that spoke over 20 languages, an actor, and an activist, like an activist. He was born on April 9th, 1890.
Except Berry was uneducated. He had obtained work as a kitchen help at Dr. Renfield's home for the crippled children. He had encountered discrimination at this organization because he was black. Milberry was cognizant of the fact that he was overworked and underpaid, but he continued working because he had been hungry for too long. Additionally, he was aware of the fact that the home for the crippled children was phony, as the children were only given good food when a parent visited. Milberry was kind and attentive to the crippled children, unlike Dr. Renfield, Mrs. Osbourne, and even the nurses. Milberry was maybe described as caring, observant, and determined. Now, let us proceed to discuss the character Dr. Renfield. Now, Dr. Renfield, the owner of the home for the crippled children, is the polar opposite of Milberry. He is racist and deceitful. His racist attitude is conveyed in how he treats Milberry as well as his statements regarding Milberry. Well, pay the darky 8. His insensitiveness is also seen in his unfair and cruel dismissal of Milberry. Get rid of him, the fool nigger, and deduct that $10 for that broken chair. He is somewhat insensitive to the needs of the children, as well as his organization is built for the sole purpose of making a profit. He seemed to be unfaithful, as there was constant talk of who was having an affair with him. What's your opinion of Dr. Renfield? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Let's now proceed to discuss Mrs. Osbourne. Mrs. Osbourne was the head housekeeper or supervisor at Dr. Renfield's home for the crippled children. As such, she was responsible for the recruitment and replacement of the workers. In the story, she was the one who had phoned the agency when the previous kitchen help, a Scandinavian, had left without giving adequate notice. Mrs. Osbourne, similar to Dr. Renfield, is racist. She was the one who had indicated to Dr. Renfield that the agency brought dark results. They sent us a Negro. Mrs. Osbourne was also imposing, as she had allowed Berry to perform chores that were not a part of his job description. He made the fire for the cook, peeled vegetables, washed the dishes, scoured pots and pans, scrubbed the floor, carried the wood to the fireplace, polished the waitresses' silver, and iced their water, as well as other jobs that Mrs. Osbourne would assign to him. She also treated Milberry unfairly, as she did not object to his unfair dismissal by Dr. Renfield. It was also rumored that she was in love with Dr. Renfield. Based on your readings, what are your thoughts of Mrs. Osbourne? Share them in the comment section below. Of the racist statements or quotes in this short story are as follows. Her wires to the employment office in Jersey City brought results, but dark ones. But Mrs. Osbourne had no idea how the handyman might like Negroes. She had to see to him about this Negro in their midst. And they sent us a Negro. Well, pay the darky 8, said Dr. Renfield. So here are some quotations that you can use to substantiate your points on racism that is actually displayed in this short story. The themes explored in this short story, Berry, are as follows. 1. Discrimination. 2. Racism. 3. Unfair treatment. 4. The powerful versus the powerless. 5. Institution established for profiteering. And any other theme that your teacher may have discussed or explored with you. Techniques. Contrasting characters is one of the dominant narrative techniques used in this short story, Berry. Now, Dr. Renfield is very different from Milberry Jones. Dr. Renfield is described as an educated white man, while Milberry Jones is an uneducated young black man. It is interesting to know that it is Milberry Jones who had shown a genuine interest in the crippled children, right? And this is somewhat ironic. The use of the contrasting characters make it interesting, as we are curious to find out how each of the character will respond to various situations. Another narrative technique is the use of figurative language. Now, figurative language is seen in these cases or instances. You had one repetition. Now, as stated earlier, Mrs. Osbourne was interested in Dr. Renfield, or it is presumed that she was interested in Dr. Renfield. So the phrase that was repeated is left her. And this repetition was used to emphasize that Dr. Renfield did not reciprocate Mrs. Osbourne's feelings or interests. And then we also had situational irony. Now, Milberry, though he was devoted to the children, was dismissed by Dr. Renfield when one of the children had fallen from his wheelchair, although it was not Milberry's responsibility to be pushing the boy. But the nurses were very angry, for they were responsible. And can you imagine being fired for doing a job that someone else should have been doing? Do you think that was fair? I don't think so. There are many lessons that may be learned from this story. However, I will just state a few of them. So some of these lessons are as follows. One, some businesses are established solely for the purpose of making profit. Right? And of course, this is substantiated by the statement the summer home was run for profits from the care of permanently deformed children of middle-class parents who couldn't afford to pay too much, but still paid too well for what their children got in return. And then secondly, the second lesson that can maybe learned from this is deception may be found in high and low places. But what really worried Milberry at this place was that he seemed to sense something wrong, something phony about the whole house except the little crippled children there. Right? Third lesson is that sometimes people do things that they are not proud of or happy about doing in order to survive. Now, Milberry Joan had been hungry for weeks in Newark and New Jersey, and he needed work and food. It didn't take him long enough to realize that he was doing far too much work for the house's $8 a week, and everybody was imposing on him in that taken for granted way white folks do with nigger help. And then the last lesson that will be stated here is that not everyone is morally ethical. Right? Dr. Renfield was dishonest. He had reduced the rate of the payment for Milberry because he is black. Right? And so people discriminate and people treat others unfairly, as you would see where Dr. Renfield did treat Milberry unfairly. If you have learned any other lesson from this short story, Berry, go ahead and share your thoughts in the comment section below. Are you able to tackle this past paper question? And it reads, sometimes people face hardship in life. With reference to the stories, Berry and Mom Luby and the social worker describe an incident in which the main character faces hardship. Discuss how one of the main characters deal with the hardship described and examine one technique used to portray the hardship experience. 35 marks. Are you able to provide a response to this question? I am confident that you are. If you're able to provide a response to this question and would like feedback on it, please attach your response to this question in the link that is provided in the description box. All the very best to you in your upcoming examination. Remember to read, right? And also practice writing essays, okay? For paper 2, you have to concentrate on essay writing. All the very best to you in your upcoming examination. God bless you. Sometimes students have a difficulty writing their essay, and sometimes it's a matter of how they start. And so once you start, you will get into, what it is that you need to write, okay? And so your introductory paragraph is very important. You need to have an attention getter. You need to have reference to the two short stories and provide a a synopsis of your main points that you will elaborate on in the body of your essay. I trust that this sample introduction will be useful or beneficial to you. So it reads, hardship in life is inescapable, as everyone will experience difficulty at some point in his or her life. So you can just start with a clear statement, okay? A statement that of course is credible and nobody can really dispute, okay, right? So in the stories, Berry and Mom Lumby and the social worker, the main character Milberry, alias Berry, and Mom Lumby had experienced economic hardship. However, their response to these challenging times differ. In order to highlight the fact that everyone responds to challenges differently, the writers use a variety of techniques to showcase the character's resilient spirit or lack thereof. And right there, you would have nailed it. Your introductory paragraph would have prepared the reader now for you to look at the difficulty that the character Milberry had experienced, as well as the difficulty that the character Mom Lumby had experienced, and how they respond to these difficulty, and of course as well the narrative technique that would be used in showcasing or exploring the theme of hardship. Okay, right? I trust that this again in sample introductory paragraph was beneficial to you. God bless you. Remember to write your response now, write the response and post it in the link so that I can provide you with the necessary feedback. Okay? God bless you.